days I've been
A very warm greetings of the day. I take this opportunity to welcome all my panelists here. And in this panel discussion, I have been entrusted this. India has always been leading with respect to the higher education. We have been the world leaders or the Vishwa Gurus, hosting the universities like Nalanda, Takshila, to name. But yes, I'm not taking you to the history. Today when I'm here with all my eminent panelists who are representing the industries from the different areas, be it production, be it services, be it talent acquisitions, or providing these services. I'm here because I'm the practitioner of the higher education, and it is the responsibility here with us lying as an executor. Not only this, India has brought this education policy, sir, almost after 34 years, 36 to correct it, to be very precise. That means 1986 and now. And this policy, it is basically aligning our education system globally. That is, the UN Sustainable Development Goal is to impart quality education, which is inclusive in approach, having accessibility, giving an aspect of affordability or an accountability. And all my audience here, the stakeholders, the students and the faculty, you are going to lead this. There is academic flexibility also coming in. And when we are imparting these deliverables to you, using the various aspects, we are looking for the human capital build-up. And this transformation process has already been rolled out. So as an industry, sir, we are looking for your inputs, because whatever inputs we impart to the students academically, it does facilitate their transformation. But then ultimately, the output, yes, they may have acquired the skills or the conceptual understanding, but the outcome comes when they are economically or gainfully engaged, maybe as an seeking of the employment or as an employee, maybe having an entrepreneurial aspect, or they have acquired a skill which is best suited. So I would now request, like, after these 3 decades and this NEP has been announced, and the new education policy which is revamping our education system, even being open to the dual degree, multiple entry exit, we are having the flexibility of the multilingual aspect, interdisciplinary in approach. Education sector has definitely welcomed it. But I would like that, we would like to know your reactions in respect of the new education policy, where the basic salient features is the flexibility, the multidisciplinary, multilinguistic, having the value-based embedded aspect in it. So we could start with Alok sir. I would like to have your take on it, sir.
Sure. Thank you. I think my view is that it's definitely a good policy in general, and like every policy in the country or in the corporate, there will always be some goods and some not so goods, right? So it eventually took 34 years, 36 years for this policy to come, and that definitely indicates that either we are very, very slow in rolling this out, or this is really, really complex a problem to solve. But I think any country, whichever celestial we belong to, would probably like to focus on 3 aspects. The first aspect is that more people are educated in that country. So first of all, there should be maximum number of the country population which should be educated, right? The second aspect, of course, is that people who are actually educated, they are joining the schools or the colleges, there are least number of dropouts, right? So any country would like to ensure that the number of dropout percentages are always lower. And the third aspect is that when people go through the schooling system or education system, they are actually employable. That means they have the right skills, right? Which gets them to the job and of course indirectly improves the productivity of the country. So any policy which basically enhances these three things is a good policy, right? I clearly see that in this policy, the first two things are happening in a very prominent way. The third thing basically depends on the quality of education and also the attitude to learn and how do we learn, whether it is about passing the exams or whether it is about taking the skills which actually are helpful. So, I mean, in general, if you look at the data perspective, every year in the country we have roughly 9 million graduates, that's what India produces approximately. If I talk from the technology perspective, I come from the IT background. There are 15 lakh engineers which are produced every year in the country. The great question which every corporate asks, all of us basically who sits here ask is, how many people are actually having the right skills to absorb? And are we doing enough to imbibe that quality education? Are students doing enough to in fact have the attitude to learn that deep learning so that it can become very, very productive for the corporates? Most of the corporates coincidentally have their own schooling programs. So eventually you leave a school, you leave a college, you again enter a school for the initial 3 months. And the skilling and reskilling actually continues for one reason, that technology keeps changing, different skills are needed. But I strongly feel that it definitely does not make sense that corporates should have the learning programs or the schooling programs, if I have to call them, because the schooling is already happening, right? Whether it is the old education policy or the new education policy, 15 years or 18 years or whatever number of years we are spending time in, I think that should be the sufficient time for people to acquire the right skill to get into the corporate. So I think if we can have more focus on the skills, employability, then I think this policy can actually do really wonders for the country. It is a welcome policy according to me, and of course we are all looking forward to the implementations, and execution of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Very rightly said. We do have institutions of national importance. That has also increased by almost 56% in span of 5 years. But like sir said, we have to emphasize on the skills in order to enhance the employability, because nowadays the short life of a IT sector is just 18 months. And if I take the half-life of the skills, it is less than 5 years. That means everything starts showing its redundancy. Sir, Ashok sir is from the IT GMR background. Sir, we would like to take your inputs in this regard, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. So, as Alok said rightly in terms of the aspect which is required for the industry, if you will see about the education point of view, the institutes we are having, you are very much clear on your curriculum, syllabus, whatever you are doing as of now. So, in terms of the new education policy, ma'am, that is you can say it's launched, and in terms of the industry point of view, it is going to start. We say it is still in integration phase only, or maybe in a discussions within the organizations. So it will come up. What is the ask from the industry going forward in terms of, I will talk about the basic fundamental is that you should have, that is important in terms of all aspects. Other than this, what is the ask in terms of the emotional health, mental health, that is also important. And one more thing which is purely related to the skill, what kind of skill you are acquiring from the institutions. The ask from the industry that they should not focus on the basics. When they hire any kind of the people from the institutions, they are looking that they are enough trained on the fundamental or basics at least. They should clear very much on the basics point of view, and then they can go with a different kinds of skill. Other than mental health or emotional point of view, the attitude is most important across. That is on the top. Not only the past, going forward also, it is important. In terms of the behavior, that is another ask from the industry, going forward also, in terms of the integration of new education policy. So, the teamwork. Technology is okay. I belong to IT organizations from last 2 decades. So what is happening on ground in the education systems or the institutions, we are more focused on the technology point of view. If you talk about the IT, we are focusing on the new emerging technology, like if we are talking about AI. So all students behind the AI, behind the ML. So that should not be the approach actually. What is the need in the industry? You see, your basic fundamentals should be very much clear, and you should be more flexible. And anytime you can adopt the new technology, whatever required by the industry. You can say it's a very volatile industry in terms of the IT. Every 3 years, 5 years, ma'am already explained that one. Every 5 years, I am talking about every 3 years. If I talk about my experience, I work on a technology for 10 years. It's gone, completely 100% gone. So you need to grab new skills, you need to upscale yourself with the changing of the industry or the changing of the education policy I am talking about.